Hey, we're back with Julian Dorey. Hit that like and subscribe. Let's get straight into it.
Critics point out that large language models are known to, quote, hallucinate and lack the human judgment, contextual awareness, and editorial oversight necessary to properly vet investigative journalism. But speaking of our friend Peter Thiel, you know, he's always doing something, Deef. He's always got a new project. He's always got something new that is straight out of an Orwell novel that he'll swear to God somehow meets his libertarian worldviews, which aren't real. I talked about that with Doug Rushkoff, too. It's like, yeah, you're a libertarian. Get the fuck out of here. Everything you do is not libertarian. You see Alex Karp, like, melt down on CNBC?
No, I got to check that.
I mean, it's just like we are run by psychopaths. Not run. I mean, no one elected Alex Karp or fucking Peter Thiel, but that's what you get.
Yeah, because we give them all the money.
We give them all the money.
You got to stop investing in all these crazy artists on drugs.
But here's the thing, Deef. Here's the thing. Peter Thiel has an idea that's going to help us with transparency now. It's going to help us better understand the world and be able to get to the truth. And it's called objection. You heard about objection, Deef?
Yeah, this is his new project. Yeah.
Steve's on it. So objection, and I'm going to read just the definition here.
It's just from Google.
This is straight from Google.
I'll put it up there for the people to see.
Objection is a fact-checking media or investigation platform co-funded by tech billionaire Peter Thiel. For a fee starting at a measly $2,000. I don't know. $2,000 is a lot of fucking money to me, Deef. Doesn't seem very measly.
You know.
Like they write, measly is a word I put in there, but they write it like, yeah, it just starts at $2,000. For a fee starting at $2,000, anyone can pay to have a journalist story investigated by former intelligence operatives who are just always straight shooters and judged by, quote, and I shit you not, this is what it says, an AI tribunal consisting of major language models.
Nice.
The primary objections, criticisms, and concerns surrounding the platform. Oh, I don't know. Chilling free press. Media lawyers and press freedom advocates argue the platform serves as an intimidation tactic. So hold on. A platform run by one of the billionaires who runs the world and controls basically like a lot of the intelligence apparatus that's being input into all these fucking powerful governments around the world could somehow be against, you know, free press and be an intimidator? That would never happen.
Yeah, because they run good biz.
And they're great biz, and they're all about freedom. So it says, by allowing the wealthy to initiate rapid, pseudo-legal investigations, it can harass reporters and discourage them from tackling tough investigative pieces. One thing I don't want to get lost in this, by the way, like, don't mishear me. I'm not sitting here arguing that, like, the free press has been a modicum of truth and transparency at all, especially in recent history. I mean, I could go all the way back many decades in the history here, but yes, we have watched the press fail. We have watched the press be bought off. We have watched the press fall under the thumb of intelligence officials and you know, deep state kind of things. Like, let's not get that lost here. This is a prime example of where the pendulum swung into such a bad place that the equal but opposite reaction is now powerful fucking intelligence billionaires saying, don't worry, I know the pain of this too. Remember what Gawker did to him and how he sued him and basically ended Gawker because they outed him and stuff like that? I know the pain of this too. I'll come in and take care of it. And he's going to take care of it by committing, you know, the same types of sins from the direct other side. It's like communism and fascism. I'm not saying that as a parallel here. I'm saying like as an opposite kind of thing. Like they both have the same end result. It's just a different way to get to the solutions. Another concern is the weaponized fact-checking. Critics view the platform as pay-to-play, which they're right about. Because, by the way, these investigations start at $2,000. But if you really want it the way, I think you'll see it in an article in a minute. Actually, I have it right there. Objection assigns a human investigator at the $2,000 price tier a college graduate. That's all you get for $2,000. So you basically, you know, you're getting some guy that can show he got a bachelor's degree. That's it. But you're paying $2,000 for him to look into it. At $10,000, now it's really up there. You get a former CIA or FBI agent who definitely is unbiased and has absolutely no ties to anything that could be bad or have a different motivation behind it. And of course, Peter Thiel and Palantir have no ties to either of these organizations.
What the fuck?
So the CIA or FBI agent could gather evidence, which is displayed as exhibits, yada, yada, yada. And I'm going to get into that story that this one author did a really he did a really cool example of like where it can go. But anyway, weaponized fact-checking. So critics view the platform as pay-to-play, like I said. Then they also have a concern about hostility to anonymous sources. The platform automatically devalues anonymous sources because credible investigative journalism often relies on whistleblowers who need anonymity for protection. The standard threatens to penalize highly accurate, essential reporting. And here's one where I'm going to see both ends of the spectrum and agree it's both bad here. Anonymous sources have both been the greatest thing to ever happen to journalism and the absolute worst thing to ever happen to journalism, because editorial teams can decide to lie about things and hide behind anonymous sources behind the scenes to get a greater narrative out, maybe at the behest of their bosses, the people they really work for. Or anonymous sources have been something where if the person ever actually came out, they'd be killed and their whole bloodline would be killed. But because they can do it anonymously and behind the scenes, they can actually break a serious big story. So you get the best and worst of the worlds there. And this right here could just eliminate the whole thing altogether. Do with that what you will. There's also unproven AI reliability, relying on an AI tribunal, which just words AI tribunal.
That's good.
Like I know Peter Thiel's his brain works a little differently and stuff, but like just write that, not that he gives a fuck, but write that on a whiteboard. Write it out 10 times and then just sit back and stare at it. AI tribunal. And ask yourself if that sounds dystopian or not. And count to 5 before you give a real answer.
That sounds fucked up. By the way, before I forget, hit that like and subscribe, guys. I love you forever.
I mean, what are we even doing here? Critics point out that large language models are known to, quote, hallucinate and lack the human judgment, contextual awareness, and editorial oversight necessary to properly vet investigative journalism. There's also a conflict of interest, which of course is the whole thing. The platform's creators, Peter Thiel and Aaron D'Souza, who previously orchestrated the Hulk Hogan lawsuit that bankrupted Gawker, which is what I referred to, where Peter Thiel funded that, have a long-standing animosity towards traditional media and a personal stake in protecting wealthy figures from press scrutiny. So can you pull up where it says Sackler investigation? So this is from the Hollywood Reporter. I want to get this journalist's name. I don't think I was familiar with them.
It's not Peggy Wood. Oh.
Okay. Wasn't it Poppy Wood? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Poppy Wood.
So Gary Baum. A Peter Thiel-backed tribunal is putting journalists on trial. I'm its first target. The billionaire has reteamed with the legal strategists who helped bring down Gawker to start an AI-powered appeals court for the rich and aggrieved. For many journalists, blowback is just a part of business. The irate call to the editor or publisher, often expressed through the promise of litigation, the online pile-on, often expressed through personal invective, occasionally the threat of violence, often expressed through all caps derangement. It's rare to encounter a novel variant, but on April 2nd, I received a remarkable email. Quote, "Someone has filed an objection, Your Honor, objection, against something you wrote," explained Austin Livingston, pointing me to a webpage where Purdue Pharma heir Michael Sackler, you read that correctly, one of the fucking Sacklers from the opioid crisis, a film financier, which I'm sure he is a film genius, and there's no nepotism there whatsoever, and self-styled ethical investor. Does he really call himself Again, I feel like we have to have an optics, class every week. Optics, Michael. The word ethical just...
Well, he's involved in a cool new startup. That's ethical.
Even if it's your family and it was...
What is ethical, Julian? Come on, man.
Isn't you if I gave you that benefit of the doubt, and I'm probably not going to do that. But if I did, maybe just keep that word away. Food for thought. Anyway, so self-styled ethical investor had paid a new startup, fittingly called Objection, which, again, this kid's he's worth
ethical.
Billions of dollars.
That's ethical.
So he can afford to do investigations like this left and right. You and me can't fucking pay to do this. You and me out there can't fucking pay to do this all the time. to access the legitimacy of a skeptical article I published about him and his business in the Hollywood Reporter 5 years earlier. So he's trying to fix his SEO. Let's go down. This is just like, oof. Livingston, a young staffer who describes his job on LinkedIn as simply creating shareholder value, noted that an AI tribunal would attempt to, quote, adjudicate a determination of truth, unquote. An AI tribunal would attempt to adjudicate a determination of truth. George Orwell couldn't have written that bar if he had every fucking great songwriter in there with him while he was writing these books.
That's so funny.
And the announced outcome, quote, will also affect your honor index score, a measure of the veracity of your published work. He went on adding, quote, you can argue your side by uploading your evidence and suggesting your interpretation of the allegation, which will automatically get denied by the AI on the other side via an auto reply email, because that's how they always work on all these platforms. I perused the webpage, the author says, designated Sackler v. Baum 2026, so they even put it like a court case. It featured a countdown clock ticking towards an apparent verdict. Then I read up on the company, which is backed by the prominent right-wing billionaire Peter Thiel, who waged a legal war against Gawker Media after a published coverage about its business interests and personal life, which upset him. The effort led to the outlet's demise. At first glance, objections seemed to be a kangaroo court, catering to rich and infamous plaintiffs, the latest service in the lucrative sector of digital reputation management. So I, the author, replied to Livingston explaining I'd consulted with my editors and the Hollywood Reporter believes the article stands on its own. However, I was interested in writing about objection. 2 weeks later, I found myself in a revealing and at times baffling exchange with the Oxford-educated brain trust behind the firm about the nature of truth, trust, transparency, and power. Objection's founder and CEO is Aaron D'Souza. Now, side note, I was told about this guy years ago. I did not know who he was. And this is so I'll even say specifically when this was. I was told about this guy in detail by someone who knew him in early 2021. And this was during a time where I didn't know much about like all the shit Peter Thiel was doing. I knew about Peter Thiel, the businessman and investor, and I was like really into how VCs worked and all that. So it was like Peter Thiel was a legend. I mean, you know, he was like, oh my God, this guy's like incredible what he's able to pull off. So obviously changed that opinion once I was presented with better evidence. That said, he is a very smart guy. You have to know your enemy. I'll never take that away from him. He's a very, very smart guy. But this dude never sat right with me when he was explaining to me his style, how he did things. It's strictly a vibe check. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, I could have, at the time, based on what I was told, point to this evidence and that evidence to say this thing and that thing, therefore makes him a bad person or a guy that's very suspicious. It was just like, he sounded like a zealot, like someone who had a preconceived idea of what he wanted a final result to be and said, I don't give a fuck who has to die for me to get there. That's how he came across to me, and now he's being written about here. So Aaron D'Souza, an Australian entrepreneur and provocateur, best known as the mastermind behind Thiel's litigation strategy against Gawker, which involved a patient, extensive search for the ideal proxy plaintiff to sink the online news outlet. The campaign, quietly funded by the tech investor, culminated in Hulk Hogan's successful invasion of privacy suit, R.I.P. Hulk, and ultimately helped force Gawker into bankruptcy. Thiel's involvement with D'Souza as the intermediary to Hogan attorney Charles Harder was exposed after the verdict. Let's keep going right here. More recently, Thiel has backed D'Souza's company Enhanced Games, dubbed the Steroid Olympics, so he's the guy running that, which offers athletes financial incentives to compete under rules that allow performance-enhancing drugs. The company, which also counts Donald Trump Jr. as a key investor, they're all always tied, went public in early May. To discuss objection, D'Souza and I convened for a video call along with the company's chief technology officer, Kyle Grant Talbot. They played rugby together at Oxford. D'Souza, in his signature quarter zip of the startup tribesman, exuded the confidence and finesse of someone long adept at raising money. Grant Talbot, an Englishman whose CV includes engineering stints at NASA and SpaceX, struck me as a more grounded counterpart. D'Souza, who's long had the notion of raiding news outlets, started objection after an extended discussion about the concept with the prominent Silicon Valley investor entrepreneur Balaji Srivastava. I never remember how to pronounce his name. He now has stakes in both objection and the Enhanced Games. The Gawker litigation taught me the courts are too slow and they're too expensive, said D'Souza. It's the most like, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with him, by the way.
Welcome to reality.
I completely agree with him, but it's just like the most casual way these VC guys put it. Yeah, we got to optimize the efficiency, of the courses. We're just going to buy it. So in 2016, after we won the Gawker verdict and Gawker went bankrupt, I considered the idea of buying Gawker and turning it into a news rating website. A decade later, he explains we're the first people to sell adjudication, very legal term, by the way, as a service. Comparing his venture to well-respected legal bodies like JAMS, SEAC, and the International Chamber of Commerce, which specializes in alternative dispute resolution outside traditional judicial systems. They're private arbitration courts that are very trusted methods of truth-seeking. Of course, these are consensual private forums. Everything's consensual. Objection issues public verdicts based on investigations paid for by one party, which may be negatively impacted by the refusal of the other side to participate in this process. Let's keep going. D'Souza grew up in Melbourne, the youngest of 3 brothers and son of a research scientist. His PhD is in intellectual property law. Now splitting his time between London and New York, he's the type of inveterate founder who's constantly ginning up business plans. They can be boring, like a tech infrastructure firm, niche, a chief of staff association, or whimsical, a notion to fund an Australian poet laureate. His ideas have been nurtured within a close and influential cohort. There's this group of us, 15 to 20 of us, that are gay entrepreneurs, and we've all holidayed together for years, D'Souza told the Sydney Morning Herald in February. It's an extraordinary tight community that has propelled me and all of us together to the heights of capitalism. To him, it's unsurprising that these paradigm-shifting overachievers are all gay, citing the landmark 1973 book, The Best Little Boy in the World, about how the pursuit of ambition and excellence can help closeted young men deflect from their sexuality. D'Souza has observed that his friends are, quote, the best little boys in the world. They all went to the fanciest universities and won all the prizes, unquote. I'm sorry, that's just weird.
That's weird.
To
say the least.
That has some Lolita book sitting in Epstein's office vibes to it. I don't know. That's, why?
Weird.
What does that have to do with anything? So we're gay and therefore we're smart and we should just stick together and we're most adept to run. What? Who's ever said that? What does your sexual orientation have to do with whether or not you're great at running a fucking... That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
That is the dumbest shit ever.
It's also evolutionarily makes no sense, by the way. But what a fucking weirdo. We are run by fucking weirdos. Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you have...
Thank you, Julian. Hey, hit that like and subscribe. I am out of here for the night. I'll be back tomorrow.